Well, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? So today I'm gonna do something actually that I should have done back in 2009 when I first started this channel, which was to show you how to read your basic astrological chart. Then the reason why I'm making this video now is because ever since I started sending out your full astrological report where you get more information that you can handle, now people are like, okay, what am I looking at these box with little diamonds in there? How do I read this? And they're not necessarily getting my Astrology at the Speed of Light book, which actually tells you how to get how to read a chart. But I'll just make this as a quick reference guide for all the people who are getting the chart from this link below. I don't know, here, wherever the link is. If you go here in option 4, you get your whole birth detail here. But today I'm going to show you what is a birth chart and how to read a birth chart. Well, first of all, what is a birth chart? Birth chart is simply a snapshot of the sky at the moment you came out of the womb. So as soon as you came out of the womb, at whatever particular time it was, there's just this snapshot of the sky showing where each planet was, in which zodiac sign, and which house. And remember, in astrology, you have 12 zodiac signs and you have 12 houses. You cannot have 14 houses and 12 zodiac signs. It doesn't work that way. And obviously, as you know, the zodiac sign goes into chronological order from Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. These are the 12 signs that always go chronologically, meaning that after Gemini, there will always be Cancer. After Leo, there will always be Virgo. After Sagittarius, there will always be Capricorn. They will always go into chronological order. Same thing with the 12 houses. The first house is really represented by the sign of Aries. Second house is represented by Taurus. Third house represented by Gemini. Fourth house represented by Cancer. Fifth house represented by Leo, all the way to Pisces. So these are your 12 houses and 12 zodiac signs. Each sign means something and each house means something. The first house is yourself. Second is your family, third is your sibling, fourth is your mother, fifth is your children, sixth is your enemies, seventh is your spouse, eighth is your in-laws, ninth is your teachers, 10th is your father, 11th is your network circle and friends, and 12th is your spiritual self, meaning that it's your soul chart related to the soul. Although these things and these houses represent a lot more, which is already in my book, Astrology at the Speed of Light, where you will see what each house is representing. And I've already kind of make these videos on YouTube as well of houses. But today I'm going to show you how to read a chart. And for all those people who also follow the South Indian chart, and you guys say you're confused, this is for you as well. So you can now learn how easy the North Indian style chart is. Because remember, in South Indian chart, the reason why I could never get used to it is because the ascendant in the South Indian chart keeps changing. Sometimes it's in this box, sometimes it's in that box, sometimes in that box. The eye keeps moving. Now, if you're used to it, it looks easy, right? But once you truly understand what this North Indian style chart that I use, that once you understand how it works, you'll be like, oh my God, it is so simple. So as you see on the screen here, these little boxes and diamonds, okay, if you count them, there are 12 boxes here. Doesn't matter what if they're shaped like a triangle or a square or a diamond. They're all just simply each house. Okay. Now where I have set ascendant into the box, okay, that little right in the middle, that upper middle box that says ascendant, that is always your ascendant. That is always your rising sign. That is always your first house. It'll never change in the North Indian style chart. This is why I love North Indian style chart. Anytime you look at this box, this is your ascendant. So if you're looking at a chart from my report, all those pages, number of pages and all these charts that you see, whether it's divisional charts or your birth chart, the ascendant of all of those charts are always this box. That's it. Simple. So if I was to ask you, where's your ascendant, or what sign and house is your ascendant is placed at, you will always refer to this box, whether I'm talking about your birth chart, your moon chart, your sun chart, your divisional chart, your Nemansha, Dasamsha, Trimshansha, Swasastiyamsha, Saptamsha, any chart of Vedic astrology, this is the ascendant, the main birth square that you saw with the ascendant written. Okay. Then if you go counterclockwise from that house, meaning you go towards the left, that's your second house. So your first house is the middle house, the ascendant. The second house is right next to it. Wherever you see that two is your second house. The number 3 is the third house. All the way to 12th house, these are your houses in Vedic astrology chart, the North Indian style chart. And these houses never change. Okay, so if I was to ask you where's your 7th house, you will look where that number 7 is, and that is your 7th house. That is the house of your spouse. That is the house of your partnerships, how your marriage is going to be. You will look at it from that chart. So, and it's directly opposite to the ascendant, as you might have heard of, So the first house is always that fixed sign and directly opposite to the 7th house. And the 12th house is on the right side of the ascendant because it's, the very furthest house away from the ascendant because it's 12 places away doing counterclockwise. So that is the 12th house. Okay, so never forget this number sequence that you see on this chart. These are the fixed houses. The 5th house is always where you see number 5. The 9th house is wherever you see number 9. The 10th house is wherever you see the 10th house. Okay, but every 2.5 hours in an astrological chart, the zodiac signs change. The houses stay fixed, like you saw the 5th house, 3rd house, 4th house, all of these houses stay where they are. But the zodiac sign switches every 2.5 hours. And each zodiac sign is 30 degrees long. So those 30 degrees always get completed within 2.5 hours. So you could be born at 0 degree Aries, or you could be born at 30 degree Aries ascendant, or 29.8 degree Aries ascendant. But you are in that first box, that ascendant box, which is the Aries sign. But let me show you a different chart that may look confusing to you, but let me explain. Now let me show you another chart. You see this chart here, and you saw the ascendant box. You know that is always the ascendant. But now you're wondering, what is this number 5? And why it's starting from 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and it ends at number 4 in the 12th house. What is this? Okay. Well, these are the zodiac signs of the zodiac belt, which are changing every 2.5 hours. So the very first chart that you saw with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that means two things. One, it was just to show you where the first house is, where the 5th house is, where the 9th house is, where the 12th house is, okay? However, this 1, 2, 3 chronological order can also mean that it's an Aries ascendant. Because anytime you get a chart or a report from me or anywhere else, you will see this chart with, with the very first ascendant starting from 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to 12. It'll be always the numbers between 1 and 12. In the very first box of the ascendant. That's because charts, that when software gives you a chart, it is assuming that you know where each house is placed. So it doesn't want to show you where is your 5th house and 6th house. It's already assuming you know where the location of the 5th house is. But what it does show you is the zodiac sign rising in each house. So the number 5 that you see in this chart, what do you think that means? Remember my chronological order of all the zodiac sign. Aries, okay, number 1, Taurus number 2, Gemini number 3, Cancer number 4, and Leo number 5. Leo comes into the 5th place in the chronological order of the zodiac belt. That means the 5 that you see on that ascendant is simply the Leo rising. It is a Leo sign rising in the first house and simply showing that you're a Leo rising sign. And then if you go counterclockwise, the second house next to the first house shows number 6, which is what? It shows that in the second house, the sign Virgo is rising. The number 6 shows the 6th chronological order of the zodiac belt, Virgo. The third house, going counterclockwise from the ascendant, the third house shows the number 7, which doesn't mean that it's the 7th house. No, it's the seventh zodiac sign of the zodiac belt, which is Libra. But Libra is rising in the 3rd house, which has to do with communication, your siblings, your skills, your talent, It's a house of media, as I'm doing my third house series. So this is how you read a chart. When you get my report from the website and you're looking at your birth chart, okay, the numbers that you see on each house is not the house numbers. These are the zodiac sign numbers. So you can see number 11 in a chart at the very first box where it says ascendant. That doesn't mean that that is the 11th house in your very first house. That doesn't make sense, okay? It just shows it's the 11th sign of the zodiac, Aquarius, rising in the first house, meaning that's your rising sign. You're an Aquarius rising sign. And if you go counterclockwise, you will run into the number 12 in the second house, which is Pisces. Then back to Aries, because we only have 12 signs. So it starts again in the third house with Aries, then Taurus, then Gemini, then Cancer, then Leo, directly opposite to the ascendant. So this is how you read a chart. This is how you look at every single chart in your astrological report, whether it's your main birth chart, whether it's moon as being your ascendant chart, or any other divisional chart. The very first box is the first house. The number that you see is the number that it represents of the zodiac sign, not the actual house number, but these are zodiac sign numbers rising in each house. So if you're following South Indian chart, this is supposed to now make a lot of sense to you. Probably this is the easiest chart to learn. Now, as you saw how to read a basic birth chart. Now, in different houses, there will be different planets. From Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, the North Node, Rahu, the South Node, Ketu, Uranus, and Neptune. All of these planets will be sitting in some house in some sign, okay? So like, I'm going to give you a quick example of Saturn. As you see here in Aries, Saturn is in the 4th house, right? But what sign is it under? Well, if it's an Aries ascendant, it's going to be in the sign of Cancer. Because from Aries, if you count counterclockwise 4 places, the 4th house has a sign Cancer. Now, as you saw, the ascendant changed. It changed to Taurus ascendant. So now Sun is in the sign of Leo. Now the ascendant changed. It's changed to Gemini. Now Saturn is in the sign of Virgo, but it's still in the 4th house. So Saturn in the 4th house, whenever you see that 6, it shows Saturn in the 4th house in the sign of Virgo. Now that you see Cancer ascendant came, now Saturn is in the 4th house in the sign of Libra. Now as you see 5 again, which is Leo ascendant, now Saturn is in the 4th house in the sign of Scorpio. And this is how you start reading the birth chart. So houses always stay fixed. Those boxes always are representing a certain house. They never change. What changes is just the zodiac sign every 2.5 hours. And with that, the planets will change too with the zodiac sign. Unless a planet is changing its own zodiac sign after 30 degrees, then it may go backwards, forward. That you just have to see and calculate, and you'll get the grasp of that. It's very easy. But at least you should just know what are the houses, what are these signs, and how do planets move. So Saturn in the 4th house in different zodiac signs, okay, for different ascendants. Because whenever you see the top box, that's the ascendant. That's your rising sign. Your eyes should always go to that first box. What is the ascendant? Where in South Indian chart, you have to look where was the sun rising on that side, and sometimes the ascendant will be here, different places. You know, it takes a while to really get used to that sequence. But with North Indian style, where is the ascendant? The very first house. Do counterclockwise, and all the 12 houses are there. Simple. So hopefully this gave you some education and some insight into how to read a basic chart. And this is pretty much how you read a basic North Indian style Vedic astrological chart, which just shows the first house, 12th house, and there you go. All right. So guys, if you're new to my channel, subscribe below, because that's what I do. I talk all the details of astrology. And if you want to get your report and you want to see all those charts, divisional charts, including Gemini astrology and all sorts of things for that, check out this annotation here. You can click here or the link below and get your full astrological report. Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow with the weekly podcast. Bye-bye.